Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to today's edition of the Fishing Teacher, and thanks for joining us for today's video. Always appreciate having you guys around. And guys, today we're going to be talking about stealth, as far as how stealth helps you catch fish and some things you can do as far as to be more stealthy on the water. And I think it's one of those things in fishing that's really overlooked, so we're going to dive into that in today's video. Also guys, quick reminder about our February sale on my Solar Bat Series RB2 and RB3 series sunglasses. If you get a pair this month, you can get them at 25% off, and every purchase over $100 you make, you get a $25 mystery bag from Solar Bat. So I'll put the link in the description if you want to get you a pair of these good glasses for the upcoming spring season of fishing there. Much appreciated. Okay guys, one of the things that you don't hear much about on YouTube, as far as I haven't seen any videos on it, is being quiet, being stealthy, and the benefit of being stealthy and quiet on the water. Now, I don't think a lot of people give bass credit they deserve for how aware they are as far as in their environment. Because just think about it a second. It's like a bass can find a little crawdad or a minnow that's that big in 30 foot of water at midnight. And if they are that keen, as far as they're aware of their senses, to be able to hear like a little crawdad crawl along the bottom, or to feel a minnow swimming through the water in the pitch black dark, you know that they know you're there in your boat. It's like, don't ever think that you're sneaking up on a fish. It's like, if you're working down a bank, guys, I can promise you, if there's a lay down tree 100 yards in front of you and you got your trolling motor on quiet and you're heading over to that tree, they know you're coming. You're not fooling them anything. So the main thing, guys, is when we're talking about being stealthy out there, you want to be and want to learn to be as quiet as you possibly can, because even though that they know you're there, the more disturbance that you make and the noisier you are, the more inactive that fish is going to be when you approach that piece of cover. So here's a couple different things that you can do on it. First of all, when you're working down a shoreline and you're picking apart targets or docks or whatever like that, always try to work with the wind. I do not like working into the wind, because if you work into the wind, you're on the trolling motor more, and also you lose contact with your bait. Your bait doesn't come through the water quite as natural. So always drift down with the wind, because you can just barely touch your trolling motor and keep it in position, so you can work a bank a lot quieter with that. Second thing with that, guys, is when you come to a piece of cover, like if you look up in front of yourself and you see a piece of cover, try to slow down way before you get to that piece of cover and go approach that piece of cover or that lay down or that dock as quietly as you can. Keep the trolling motor on low, and don't take your foot on and off of it, because that'll spook fish more than just keeping your trolling motor straight on. And let your boat glide into the cover. Try to stay off of the trolling motor as you approach that cover a little bit closer, and then glide slowly into that cover before you make your presentation. Also, be really aware of your in the boat movements, because I fish with some guys out there, they're like a bull in a china shop. It's like they're heavy on their feet. It's like they get out of the front deck and the boat rocks back and forth, and they drop a rod, or they fumble around on their tackle boxes and drop a box, and they're just super noisy. They're talking loud in the boat. You need to try to really, really be as silent and quiet as you can when you're in the boat, even if you're not fishing, because fishing is no different than hunting. It's like, when somebody goes deer hunting or something, they don't go crashing through the woods and making a bunch of noise. It's the same with bass. You have to try to be as silent and as quiet as you possibly can leading up to that piece of cover that you're going to fish out there. And I don't see a lot of people doing this. I think a lot of people out there, they think just because they can't hear something under the water that they don't think a bass can. But when you have that trolling motor whirling, and you got your electronic pings from your depth finders coming in the water, and you got your big motor cranking, guys, bass can hear that big time. And another thing with that is, unless you absolutely have to have it, make sure that you turn your electronics off. If you're like fishing docks or fishing lay down trees or grass up on the bank, you don't need your depth finder. Just turn it off, because that makes it even more stealthy and more quiet. And I think, in my personal experience, I think that a depth finder ping spooks bass more than a trolling motor does. I just think there's something about that, if you've ever heard the transducer on your trolling motor out there, I think that probably is more irritating than the bass than anything. And finally, don't wear a bunch of bright colored clothing. Try to wear some type of clothing that blends into the sky or blends into the background a little bit. That way, when you're moving in the water, if the water's clear, the fish can't pick up on your movement quite as good. Main thing, guys, is just be stealthy. Be stealthy, try to sneak up on those fish a little bit, and it adds up to more fish than if you're using like the latest, greatest color lure or something like that. So hope it helps out, guys. We'll talk later.